Welcome back to My Trick Media. Today we're here for part 3 of the series for a first-time Star Wars viewer. We are doing Revenge of the Sith today, and we got Ryan back on here. So, starting off, Battle of Coruscant. How'd you feel about that visually?
It turned me on.
Okay.
It was cool.
2005 CGI.
I personally can't wait until the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, that's this next year.
I cannot freaking wait because I can't wait to see those fighter jets on a big screen.
Yeah, there's no way after they've already done the other two movies. There's no way they're not going to bring it in for the 20th anniversary.
Just the beginning of that scene where you just see the two Jedi Interceptors flying, and then they both nosedive over, and it's just a fucking battle going on. I hope they have that volume cranked.
In 4DX.
Dude, if it was in 4D, that'd be awesome. They need a Jedi Interceptor ride at, Hollywood Studios. You get in, it's like a single person, it, closed down on you. For.
Okay.
There's buzz droids. How do you like the buzz droids?
Those are the bigger ones or the smaller ones that attack?
The smaller ones.
I think it was weird, but I mean it made a lot of sense. I think it was cool how Anakin kind of saved Obi-Wan.
He tried to crash his ship into it. He tried to shoot at his ship.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man. You're the chosen one. You can do whatever the hell you want.
I love how he just doesn't give a shit that they're in space.
Yeah.
It's different to crash into someone if you're on a planet.
Well, I thought
He's
it
in
was
space.
There was a scene where one of the people who were helping them out got killed, and then you saw him fucking floating off with his ship. And I was like, whatever happened to that guy?
He's just floating.
Yeah,
or just
does he get
when the
picked
buzz
up
droids
somehow?
cut R5? Is it R4 or R5? It's R4. He cuts R4 and you hear
R4, be careful. He's dead already.
Oh, blast.
Actually, he's not technically dead. He's a droid.
No, he's just gonna float until he turns off.
He's gonna freeze over. That's what's gonna happen eventually.
Did they just put a new head on him?
No,
he's toast.
They probably just got a whole new.
There's just a new R4.
Oh. That's sad as fuck. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, he just he just died basically.
What are we talking about?
Well, then they crash into the.
Well, Obi-Wan crashes into General Grievous's ship.
They both do.
No, Anakin didn't. Anakin kind of just glided in there. I don't know why he just.
I guess that's true, but Obi-Wan made this spectacular.
I will say Obi-Wan looked 1,000 times cooler than Anakin in that scene.
Because
he slides in and then jumps out, and Anakin's
I think that kind of just goes to Anakin being arrogant. He just goes out there and's like, "Oh, I got this, guys." Whatever.
Not the guy doing a backflip out of his fucking.
I'm not saying it wasn't cool.
That's super fucking arrogant.
No, I know, but that's arrogant as shit. He was like, "Oh, battle droids? Shit, send it." Okay.
The elevator scene was interesting. Where they're he almost kills Anakin when he gets back into the elevator. He's like,
that scene always is kind of weird to me because he definitely should sense that Anakin is there.
He's sensing the dark side though on the ship because they know that Count Dooku's there. He's probably distracted.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'd be distracted. It's that's the whole point. All the Jedi are distracted from the war that's been going on over the last 3 years. That they're on edge. They're not like we've talked about with the Acolyte and stuff. They're just ready to attack at this point. That's not how the Jedi are supposed to handle things. But the war's happened for 3 years now. It's just their first instinct now. So,
yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
What do you think about R2 fucking up the droids and then lighting them on fire?
I mean, it's R2-D2, man. I like R2-D2.
I like that scene where R2's shooting the elevator up, and Obi-Wan's like, "Why did we stop?" I forget what, because R2 obviously has to go kill those droids. And then he comes back and he's like, Obi-Wan's like, that's more like it. Like, it's just like so subtly like.
I mean, it just goes back to where I've told you before when you watch the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan's sassy as hell. And they're very bickery in the Clone Wars. And then, like, there's a deleted scene. You know how they killed all the droids in the elevator? Well, the deleted part of that scene is they're like, Roger. And they're just like, they're just joking around. And it's funny. That's kind of how the Clone Wars is the whole time.
Ooh,
Didn't they make a joke, though, when they killed them all?
No, he just looks at him. And they just take off through the elevator. Trying to think.
Basically, it's just a fight with Count Dooku.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we get to the fight with Count Dooku.
What did you think about it being so easy for them to just get to Palpatine? It was relatively really easy for them to do that.
I mean, it helped that they knew where he was. But, I mean, it's also... knowing that he's Sidious, it's like...
It's just set up.
Yeah, it's all just set up, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we know the answer. When you were watching that scene, obviously there's where Obi-Wan just cannot handle himself against Count Dooku for some reason. But so like Count Dooku like singles Anakin into a fight. Mm-hmm. And then obviously they go throughout the fight. And at the moment where Anakin gets the upper hand and then takes Count Dooku's hands, like, and then he like crosses the blades over. What were you thinking like in that moment?
Right before he says, "Do it."
From like what I thought of Anakin, or like
just
the
what
situation.
Did you think of the scene? Like, because I remember the like kind of I don't really remember exactly the first time I watched it, but like I remember watching it and just being like, oh, okay, like he's gonna like let him go, and he's just it's kind of crazy. He just cut his hands off. Like,
well, I mean he contemplated it because he was like, I shouldn't do it, and then obviously Palpatine says the line, but to me it kind of probably proved to Palpatine like he's willing to kill whatever now. Like he's lost, like how he said how they've lost all this like discipline over the 3 years of the war happening. It kind of is, it's like slowly showing you what is going on in Anakin's head of, you have to kill him, basically.
So there's another part to this that's kind of like, it's not like specifically said, but it's heavily implied. Did you like understand in like that moment that the entire like fight was a setup? And if you don't know what I mean, I can explain. So, like, the Emperor,
right? He wanted Dooku to
Palpatine. Yeah. He wanted the one-on-one fight between them, and he wanted either Count Dooku to Anakin to not be able to prove himself, and Count Dooku kill him,
right?
Or Anakin has to kill Count Dooku.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, when he said "do it," like Dooku look at him like,
yeah, but
holy
like,
shit,
yeah.
Like,
so like, that's my point though. Like, did you understand the gravity of the fact that entire fight was Palpatine's way of getting rid of Dooku,
right,
at the hands of the Jedi?
Right.
It's just another propaganda piece that he could throw.
I mean, like I briefly said to you, like this entire Battle of Coruscant, like it was originally in the original cut supposed to be over an hour. The movie was supposed to be over 4 hours. It was supposed to be a very long movie, and then like the book it was a lot from the book was supposed to be in the movie. And there's different points in the book where you're sitting here and you're like, okay, like there's specific points like when they're flying their ships before they make it to Grievous's ship where that guy Anakin says to Obi-Wan he's gonna go help that clone out, and then Obi-Wan tells him no, and then he dies, and then Anakin has a moment to himself where Obi-Wan says to him, "You can't save everyone, Anakin," and he's like, "Yeah, I know. I couldn't save my mother." And it's like this entire fight. This is
you should explain that better.
I mean,
so
we've never talked about
he
this.
He said that in the movie, or you're saying
no,
in
the book?
That?
So,
okay.
the book. So during that scene in the movie, they're flying. They're trying to get to Grievous's ship to get Palpatine, and literally in Anakin's head, he's thinking about everybody else dying around him and how he can't save everybody, and he's so distraught with the thought that he is still thinking about his mother 3 years later, and that seeing a clone die just as another visual of him seeing his mom die all over again.
Yeah.
And
I just thought it'd be good to explain it to
Right.
them because, like, so, like, there's probably a lot of things that we say that you guys either know a little bit about or know nothing about. And that's just, like, something, like, knowing the background of what a character's thinking in a scene, even though they don't show you in the movie, gives you like way more context of facial expressions and stuff like that. And typically, like, when they write these books, they go off of like the original first finished script, and then they like change stuff when filming happens. So like a lot of the books, I mean, this goes for everything. I mean, any series that has books, like, there's shit that gets changed, but like it also doesn't like necessarily take away how an actor acted in a scene, because they're still looking at the script like, okay, I need to act this way because this is in my head, even though like it's not said.
Well, which is kind of cool with the books with Star Wars, because the books are written after the movies. The movies have already been established, so it's like, all right, they're taking the original scripts and how the actors acted in the movies to help write their story.
No, because a lot of the books come out before the movie comes out.
Well, I'm saying for Star Wars specifically.
I don't know. Was it written after?
It was.
Well, that's weird that they used an old script.
I'm about 99% sure.
I know that happens for a lot of other things. Like, this is a little off topic, but I know for the third Transformers movie, that movie ended insanely different than what it was supposed to. Yeah. But it was because someone who worked in one of the studios that was making the movie leaked how the movie ended. In the ending
they had to change it or something?
Michael Bay said, fuck that, and changed it. Originally, Megatron doesn't die in that movie. They do kill Sentinel, but Megatron, or Prime does not kill Megatron. And so, like, that's something where, like, if you read because they do comic novelizations for Transformers. I think they might do novelizations, but they're still comic-y. If you read that book, it is completely fucking different than that movie. And I actually think that happened for the second and third movie. They changed a little bit of the second movie and actually made Optimus more, like, vicious. A lot of people complain about that. The scene, we're, like, so off topic. I'm so sorry. But, like, the scene where, like, Optimus, like, jams his hand through the Fallen and then just crushes it, and he was like, give me your face and shit. That was not supposed to be in the movie. Michael Bay was like, you know, we're just gonna make him a little bit more like
it's Michael
over
Bay.
the top savage, because that's not how Optimus is at all. But what I was saying is I mean, that happens in Harry Potter. There's shit that, I mean, that's the biggest gripe with the Harry Potter movies, is that if you're a fan of the Harry Potter books,
yeah,
you don't like most like a bunch of parts of the movies. Like the Half-Blood Prince is considered the wildly, like, the most wildly different from the book. But that's kind of how Star Wars is too. Like, I mean, we've kind of talked about it before, I think, where, like, Episode 9's book was actually the book that canonized Plagueis and Revan, which makes no fucking sense.
Well,
because Plagueis is said by name in the movie we're talking about,
yes.
And he's technically not canon.
Well,
I don't know how that's possible.
I mean, getting to that dialogue, he says it's a Sith legend. So, I mean, he technically says that it's a legend.
Does he say a Sith legend?
He says, yeah, he says it's a Sith legend. And then he says Darth Plagueis, the Dark Lord of the Sith. He does say it's a Sith legend when he tells Anakin the story.
Is that when they're in the Senate and he tells the...
That's when they're watching, like, the
performance
happening or whatever. Anyways, back to...
Hey, we're going back to Count Dooku. So...
what he's saying about Count Dooku, and the reason why I brought up the book situation, is because before they get there, Palpatine and Dooku were talking about the fight and what's supposed to happen, and how it's going to go down, and Count Dooku could have literally have just told Anakin right before he died.
And like, there's, like, he thinks about it.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he thinks about spilling the beans in the moment, and, like, doesn't.
Well, didn't he try to tell Anakin to switch?
He told Obi-Wan in the second movie.
Oh, okay.
Remember, he was telling Obi-Wan.
He didn't think he could turn Anakin.
Okay.
No, but so the reason why he didn't end up telling Palpatine is because, or telling Anakin and them about Palpatine, was because he believed that his death would actually get their plan executed and done. He believed that in his death, every plan that they had moving forward was going to happen. So he actually...
Whose plan?
Palpatine's.
Okay.
He let Anakin kill him without spilling the beans because he knew in that moment that everything that was going to happen was going to happen because of it.
And this is what's so poetic about that fight is that basically Dooku tries to one-on-one get Obi-Wan out of the fight, whether he killed him, knocked him out. And that's something about Dooku that you still see to the end is that he did not kill Obi-Wan on purpose because he didn't want to kill him. He still cared enough for Qui-Gon to not kill Obi-Wan. So he just took him out of the fight.
It's kind of sad to even think
yeah,
about.
I mean,
well, that happened in the second movie, too. Like, he just, like, when they were
he
talking.
could easily could have killed him and doesn't.
And he brings up Qui-Gon.
Well, he doesn't want to kill Anakin because he still has the idea that they're going to be, like, a bunch of Sith Lords and that we're going to try to turn a bunch of people. Because, I mean, even during... Just getting ahead again, but even in Order 66, they do turn Jedi. Like, there are Jedi who switch sides. I mean, that's what half of the Inquisitors are.
They're just fallen Jedi that survived Order 66.
Yeah. So...
Because they can't, like... Sorry, well, that's super off topic. I mean, they can't beat Vader. So
I was talking about Transformers.
Well, I mean, I guess they can't beat Vader, so why work against him when you can work with him as an Inquisitor?
Yeah, and they get the power that they've wanted. Because all of the... Like, it's not like big... Other than Anakin, like, no big Jedi turned. Like, they're all, like, low-level Jedi. Fucking... The Grand Inquisitor was a temple guard. So it's like... It's people who... didn't have a stake in the Jedi Order in a way.
They finally got their opportunity to mean something.
Right.
Which, was it necessarily for a good thing?
You basically become the council of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The chosen one, man.
Which is crazy that, like, a lot of them don't know. Like,
That
the Grand
he's
Inquisitor
Anakin?
knew that he was Anakin. But, like...
Well, you
I
probably
don't
saw
know
him
if
going to the temple and
Reva
kill all those
did.
kids.
But-
Reva did, but he hasn't seen that yet, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, there was very few people that knew that Anakin was Darth
Oh,
Vader.
dude, I can't wait to get to... Never mind. We'll get to it. I can't wait to get to that.
So right after that, they go... And I made a joke about it, because it's like Palpatine had this all planned out, and like he almost dies multiple times during this.
Not even just that, like... so the elevator scene... Or, like, right before the elevator scene where he's just climbing... he tries to convince Anakin to just leave Obi-Wan. Which is still, like, a crazy scene to me because, like, Anakin is so blind.
Mm-hmm.
That he was just like, leave your master to die. We have to get out of here. And Anakin wasn't like, the fuck's wrong with you?
Again, it just goes back to the argument where the war has happened for 3 years. They're just... The Jedi are just not there. They're not there. They're so worried about the political aspect, winning over worlds to be on their side, and all this other shit, that they are not the same Jedi that they should be.
Yeah. But, yeah, that scene's crazy. And then I always think it's funny when they're in the elevator shaft and Obi-Wan finally, like, wakes back up. Oh, shit!
Basically, right after that...
That's when they almost crash on the ship, right?
No, that's when they get trapped in the... They tried to spring the... Well, right after that, where they get out, and they try to spring the trap to get to Grievous, to try to take Grievous out of the equation at this point, because now Dooku's gone, let's get rid of Grievous, and everything's settled at this point, or pretty much settled. Like, the leaders are gone.
This is where we... Have they already almost got caught?
No, because it was a deleted scene.
Yeah, but Palpatine's not in that deleted scene.
No. Shakti was with the one of 10 times she dies in different ways.
But, like, that's before they get to Dooku, isn't it?
That is before they get
Okay,
to
I
Dooku.
was like, that's before they get to Dooku. We didn't talk about that.
It's a
So, deleted scene. I don't know if you guys know who Shakti is. She's the same species as Ahsoka, though. She's a master on the council. This is where we see her die. Kinda. Because she dies... Yeah, she dies in the book a different way. She dies in the deleted scene a different way.
She dies in an Order 66 scene in a different Star Wars project a different way, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like, it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
But basically, they watch Grievous execute her, which is weird because they never explain why she's there. Like, I'm assuming she...
No, it's because of the 2D animation. Remember when he captures Palpatine, he just takes Shaak Ti with him in the 2D animation.
Because she was guarding him?
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was that or if she was the first person they sent to rescue him.
No, that was why, because she was supposed to protect him when Grievous was trying to get to him.
Yeah.
And he just took her with him. That's why I'm assuming she should have been there. That was in the 2D animation.
Leverage,
so,
dude.
I mean, it is leverage.
When you lose your leverage, you kill it.
Yeah.
Do you think she was in the setup of it?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, they would have probably tried to get her out as well, but...
So basically we get to...
Back to when they're out of the elevator.
Yeah, so basically we get to see them meet Grievous
Some
actually
joyticas.
for the first time. Well, at least Anakin actually gets to meet Grievous for the first time. And I kind of told him why Anakin says what he says with General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected. Mainly because we would assume it's because he doesn't see her in the Clone Wars. And his Padawan Ahsoka meets Grievous multiple times. And her at 14 years old, like still small, like young girl, looks at Grievous and like he's a massive ass dude. You go back and tell your master like this is a massive cyborg type guy that's fighting us right now. So
the balls on Anakin.
I mean, like they literally the arrogance and the balls on Anakin to be like, yeah, General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected. It's funny. I think it's funny. It's very Clone Wars-y too.
Yeah.
I like it. What about R2 making the scream and he starts like shooting the like lightning bolts everywhere? He loves R2's scream.
It sounds like Toad.
Give us your best one.
Oh shit! I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Tyler could do it. I know he can.
It's gonna get cut if it sounds bad. So
Let it rip.
No, we're good. Off cam.
We heard.
What do you think about Grievous's guards with the double?
Oh, dude.
The double with the
I don't know if you guys ever
they
played a
had.
video game. If they're in a video game, fuck those guys. Lego game, don't give a shit. Fuck them. They suck.
Yeah, they weren't really good. Like I don't think they did.
They weren't good. They literally the one got its head cut off and was still fighting him. It did better when his head was cut off.
They still lost, so that's all that really matters to me. The fucking.
You also do got to think
the
that
staffs were cool.
the two people that are fighting them are some of the best Jedi that are in the Order.
Is there something you want to say?
They suck.
Did they win?
They're fucking droids.
Okay, yeah, they were made to fight.
They're
and they
second.
lost.
They're second to like only those one other type of droids that I can't think of. What are those like?
The IG droids, the assassin.
Oh,
droids?
not IGs. IGs suck too, dude. The one like command droids, the one that just rocks Anakin in the Clone Wars with his fist.
Oh.
Those also suck. I hate those. But yeah, so then I feel like for some reason Grievous always has the right idea that lets only him get away. Like who the fuck's idea would be like, all right, we're in space, blast the fucking window. What the fuck?
Well, it's interesting to me that he's a cyborg, so he's like still part like human, but he can.
I mean, he probably has like
He can go into outer space.
I think, yeah.
With bad
I mean, he
lungs,
does
too.
in the movie.
I mean, Plo Koon does. He's wearing a mask.
Plo Koon talks about it though, but
Yeah,
at least
he shouldn't.
I mean,
survive.
he briefly says, "I can withstand the pressure a little bit because of my mask." I mean, at least he says that. Grievous just does the shit. Like,
I mean, he's a cyborg. I mean,
guess.
the only thing he'd have to worry about is if his like shit
his
started to
lungs
fuck up.
freeze up.
Hey, man, it's Star Wars. We have fires in space.
Yeah, you're in war too, buddy. You do whatever you do to get away.
And then his asshole is smart enough to be like, launch all escape pods. Like,
I mean, yeah. And it's also funny, so obviously Anakin has to pilot what's left of the ship out of there, and it just goes back to the point that I was
I
making
think
fun
we
of.
lost something.
Yeah. It just goes back to the point where I was making fun of Palpatine for having all those plans, and then he just almost dies again. That thing, it just
I mean,
goes
that's what
nosedive.
makes it beautiful. He knows that there's like a 99% chance he's going to survive everything.
Yeah, but not at this scene, he doesn't. He doesn't know what the hell's going to happen.
I mean, kind of he still does.
I think he just trusts Anakin enough.
Yeah, he knows that if he dies, that means also Anakin and Obi-Wan are gonna die.
I mean, yeah.
So his plans are ruined anyway.
Right. I wonder what would have happened. Obviously, it wouldn't have made the movie that they died.
The movie would have
if they would have died. I mean, yes and no. They would have finished the Clone Wars.
Right, but then what happened? There's no Vader. There's no more Star Wars after that.
4, 5, and 6 were already established. Right. It's impossible.
That does kind of ruin things because it's like.
Yeah, it's interesting in a way.
You asked what happened, not what would happen in our storyline.
Anakin being like, "We lost something." That's such a Clone Wars-esque line. It's funny. You're gonna get a lot of stuff like that when you watch the Clone Wars.
Did you make it?
I did.
What the fuck? What a shock.
Cut.
Did we get that? If that was on camera, you should keep that in.
Cool. So yeah, we watch him. I think it's also funny that he like crashes it onto Coruscant. Like I know it's about Coruscant, like there's not any option, but he just was like, we're gonna land here.
I mean, he was gonna land wherever that thing was gonna take him. There's no way he was controlling anything.
They show that in the Clone Wars, don't they? When they go to like fire at them. That's a Clone Wars thing, isn't it? Or is that like a fake edit where they go to like shoot at them and like stick their hands in the air? Because
when it's landing,
they
or when
crash the ship, and then the Coruscant police like go and they start aiming at the.
Yeah,
is that in the Clone Wars, or am I just like saw a fan fiction?
Making something up, but unless it's a
that makes
a deleted
sense,
scene.
I think it's a Clone Wars. Like,
there's no way they think it's a bad guy. Like they're like bad guys because
it's Grievous's ship.
But it doesn't matter because they know that when they were coming down, they had the like flying fucking firefighters like getting water to
the clones.
Yeah, but I feel like somebody would have communicated with somebody. Oh, they're coming to the ground. They're about to fucking
crash
crash into
They had
something.
half of a ship. They might have not had communication, Jordan.
Well, the clones would be able to communicate that. There's no way they wouldn't. They'd be like
the clones
incoming.
Didn't know that they would be alive.
Well, it doesn't matter. They'd be like incoming somewhere.
Yeah, that's why they fucking shoved their guns at them.
I don't know. I feel like, well, they literally were like, we'll take you in, and Obi-Wan responds to them. So, no, that's not true. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe it just happened before he realized it was Obi-Wan and Anakin. What he's saying. It wasn't
crashed yet.
Oh, okay.
Because they were still, the clones knew before it crashed because they were trying to get the fire out as they were going down.
To save Palpatine.
Yeah.
To save their real master, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess, but I don't know. I think I saw a fan fiction where someone made a joke where like they go to aim at them and they like stick their hands up and they're like, "Oh, don't shoot, it's the generals." Am I tripping? Like I definitely have seen that before. I don't know.
Not that scene, maybe something else I could see.
I don't know. We should keep going though.
Like, anyways, so we get to a point where Obi-Wan and Anakin, Obi-Wan's going to go talk to the council, and they're like, oh, Anakin, you can go be with the politicians all day. Like, go have fun. And it's funny because so there's the dialogue in the scene where he's like, all right, but I've saved your skin for the 10th time, and he's like, 9th time, and he's like, that business on Caden Amortia doesn't count. And it's funny because that dialogue, they ended up writing a book.
Strictly about Caden
strictly about that like part. Strictly just that line. They made an entire book called Brotherhood. It came out I think in 2022, maybe it was like 2021 to 2023, something like that. I think it was 2022. But they made an entire book about what happened during that, which I thought was crazy that they took that one line of dialogue that was just something made for the movie, and then they made something completely about it. That's another reason why I love Star Wars so much. Like, they literally went out of their way to take that one little line of dialogue in the third movie and made an entire book about it. Like, it's crazy what Star Wars does with everything that they do.
I think that's like, I've talked to like a few people about that. Like, I feel like anything that gets like kind of mentioned, they go back and clean up. And like, I don't know if that's on purpose. Like, I think it's on purpose now.
Well, it's not
but like originally, I don't know if there was ever the idea of like I know there were some things, so like but like something so dumb like that, and they were just like, Fuck it. We'll just make a little story
Well, just
about
like
it.
we said in the last episode, it's like George Lucas does everything on purpose. So it's
See,
like,
George wasn't involved when they made
George
that deal.
wasn't involved
Someone
with
went
that.
out of their way. 15.
he could have green-lighted it still.
No,
he's
because this was in
sold
like
it.
2022.
He sold
bet
it
they
in
would ask.
2013.
I bet they would ask still.
But still, they just like got the green light to write about this story that like means nothing.
Yeah.
Does anything tie into? It's just a random
It's
one
like-
off of.
I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say-
kinda.
I mean, it's like a Clone Wars like arc, you know. It's something like that where they take like a specific thing that they did, and they'll have like the story and the episodes of the Clone Wars, but they wrote an entire book about like almost the Clone Wars arc.
Yeah, so like Obi-Wan's on a mission and he's doing this, and this on Kata Nemoidia.
Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking word to say.
So the Nemoidians live, but and he's basically doing stuff with the Nemoidians, and like he's learning that they're not all pieces of shit, and then like he gets into some trouble, and I can't remember exactly what happened.
We're trying to blow something up.
Yeah, they got like bombs all over the city, and like Anakin shows up to help him.
Yeah, Anakin comes to the rescue. But
Can you imagine how that book sounded? It's just a bunch of Nemoidians talking like half the time.
So right after that, we get to see Anakin see Padme again. They've been separated for several months. They were talking about the outer rim sieges, and you know, they were just but like a bunch of Clone Wars battles type things. They were out forever, and the only reason why they actually came back was because they didn't have anybody else to send to go get Palpatine. So that was the only reason why he actually came back. But they were separated for several months, hadn't seen each other. So, how'd you feel finding out she was pregnant? Since you didn't put two and two together, that Anakin Skywalker is Luke Skywalker's dad until very late in the movie. Because some reason he knows everything that happens in basically 4, 5, and 6 from Family Guy, but by God couldn't put two and two together with Skywalker. Like they say Skywalker every 2 seconds. And he
Oh my God, are those his kids?
like, oh, there's 2 kids? Like, oh, well, they didn't know it's 2 kids yet. So he's
Right.
like, oh, who's the kid? I don't even know who it would be.
I don't think I said that.
That is exactly what you said.
You're making that up.
No, I'm not making it up. It was funny. I was like, well, I'm not going to say shit because he
Well,
actually might
I
make
think-
it through this movie
I
without
think-
knowing what's going to happen.
I think I was kind of like blinded on that point because like no one's supposed to know that she's pregnant and that they're seeing each other. But they're just like openly
Well,
saying this shit. And
They know
kiss-
that she's pregnant. They just don't know who she's pregnant with.
Well, actually,
which also
or
is
from.
weird
What do you
to
mean
me.
with?
Well, actually, no, it's
Who she's pregnant with.
Well, obviously they
there's
wouldn't know
actually
who-
not
That's what I'm saying.
not very many people actually know she's pregnant because when she got pregnant,
huge.
she stopped going out.
I mean, yeah, but she's in the Senate.
She didn't really go to anything until like the end of the movie.
I know,
She
but,
stopped.
like, bro.
And she wears a billion fucking clothes when she goes
stopped-
to the Senate. She's like,
she stopped going out when she got pregnant. She was staying in her room for the majority of the time.
She's like 9 months pregnant, guys. Like, it's not like she's tiny still. Like, I get what you mean, but she's not. So
I
people
mean,
know
she wasn't that big, I don't think, because
She
then they
was.
show her.
They just have the kids later in the movie.
But like,
It's not that much time goes by in the movie.
I mean, she's not huge.
I feel like they
'Cause,
showed her when they were on like the balcony, and he was like, "You're so beautiful," blah blah blah, and like I didn't think she looked that big, but
I mean,
maybe
she doesn't
did.
look that big for having twins.
right.
For having twins, no. But
It's also Star Wars twins. They might have a pill.
it's also.
It's just like sinks your stomach
I mean,
down.
it's also it's fake
Right.
pregnant. It's not real. So I mean,
And she seems like she was stressed, so maybe it was being not medical. We have no fucking clue what we're talking about. I'm not even gonna finish what I was gonna say. That was just gonna be a dumb fucking thing. The stress is coming out on the baby. Anyway, what?
Nothing.
Oh, how'd you feel to find out that she was? Like, did you not know in the moment that she was pregnant? Or,
She says she was pregnant, right?
yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean you knew that she was pregnant,
I mean, you don't really know. It doesn't really show her.
bro. You can tell.
Not
She
really.
gives very good, like, the way she's holding herself. Like, you could tell she's pregnant.
I'm shocked.
We spent
Listen.
way too much time on this.
I'm shocked Anakin didn't know. Like, how can
Yeah.
he?
He's blinded by the
Right.
war. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah,
you haven't seen your wife in months. You're not going to be the first thing. He's like, damn, you look fat. Like, what are we talking about? He's like, I miss you so much. I finally get to see you. Where can we go to be alone?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't connect at that point for me that she was pregnant with.
Also, have we ever talked about 500 Republica? The houses that they, like the apartments that she has and stuff? Do you know, I'm assuming you know what 500 Republica is, right? It's like the expensive ass fucking apartment complex.
Sure, yeah. What do you mean talk about it?
So, like, that's where she lives.
Okay.
And, like, we'll get to it, but, like, there's a deleted... It's in the book, or it's a deleted scene where Palpatine basically asks Anakin what he wants. What do you want? And he was like, do you want a planet? And he's like, you got it. You want the entire 500 Republica building? You got it. And he's just like, that's like later on, but we'll get to it.
I don't remember. I don't remember if it was the book or deleted scene. I know what you're talking about now, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like the richest apartment complex.
Anyways, so basically they have the conversation like you said, where he's like, "You're so beautiful," and she's like, "Just because I'm so in love," and she's like, "Love has blinded you," and shit like that. And what did you think about that specifically?
I mean, it 100% has. I think like it's really weird how the discipline of Anakin has like shifted in both ways, because it's for her it's like, I'll do anything for you and this and that, and then for the force ability he has, it's like it's just waning on him that he would kill people, and he's just like losing his, I guess, discipline, I guess I would say, of just like he's falling in love. He's killing people, whether it was for his mother or...
He's veering from...
Yeah, he's just falling off of, like...
the Jedi code.
Right. There you go. That's what I meant.
Yeah. He's this is where you see him, like... You find out she's pregnant, and you see how far he's pushed the Jedi code and how far, like, they're allowing him to.
Right.
Because, like...
They think he's the chosen one.
Well,
some people do.
They know he's like, everybody kind of just knows at this point.
At this point in the story, yeah, it's pretty much a known.
They also don't talk about in the movie how, like, so they have like basically like television newscast in Star Wars, and how it works is like they have like little hologram TVs and shit, and they plaster Anakin all over the place for the war, because he is like the poster boy of the Clone Wars. Okay. And like that's another thing that people like don't realize, is that like Anakin's not someone that is just known to Coruscant. He is known across the galaxy.
Right.
And that's something that's like,
it eats him alive, probably.
So there's a comic, and this is the reason they made the Kenobi series. There's a comic for Kenobi where they're blasting that Anakin is dead, even though like that's what Obi-Wan thinks, and then they're blasting this image of this new guy, and it's just Darth Vader character, and like that's like the same exact thing. I don't know if people have seen that comic; it's kind of popular, but like that's the same shit. Like Anakin was legitimately known, like people knew him by name across the galaxy, and that's, you haven't seen the Clone Wars obviously, but like that's kind of like where like he can't like hide from anything either, because everybody knows who he is. So his ego is just going, it's just through the roof, because you're the most popular person on all the systems too.
So going based off of that too, also the novelization for the book is interesting, because it'll read the story but then also go off in a tangent. So like when it starts, it'll be like, this is Anakin Skywalker, the greatest Jedi of his generation, perhaps of any generation, and he knows it. And it's like he's just so like into all the, I guess, media that he's getting covered by and stuff. Like he's that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that answered a question, because I kind of always thought like that could be like crushing him at the same time, because he's in so much, like he's under so much pressure to be the chosen one.
And see, it's the thing, it is.
Right.
Because when he's in the light and he's in front of people, he takes on that persona that I am the chosen one. I am this person who will save you. I am this great person. And then
Right.
you see him as soon as he's with Padme or alone with like the 501st or alone with Obi-Wan, where he dials back down and he's like, okay, I have to live up to this. I have to protect my wife. I love Obi-Wan, but he's doing things that are pushing him away. Well, at least he thinks him and Obi-Wan are separating apart in a way. And he's trying to figure out with everyone who loves him who he actually loves back and who he actually trusts. And this is something that you see keep falling like dominoes of how Palpatine is that person that is like,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Right.
I'm not going to go talk to my wife. I'm not going to go talk to Obi-Wan. I'm not going to go talk to the Grandmaster. I'm going to go talk to the Chancellor.
The father figure that he ended up with.
Yeah,
all of this.
and this is where Anakin not having a father figure before, but having a mother kind of plays into, because he doesn't understand that your father isn't going to just say yes to you for everything and always give you this like perfect advice. Like Obi-Wan tells him when he has a bad fucking idea, whereas Palpatine doesn't. He gives him like it was a good idea because you did this, this, and this. He just forgets about like, obviously like he goes places and he kills, destroys, and does all this shit, and they don't care. He gets to walk away.
Yeah.
And they show this in the Ahsoka show where she's like, all these people are gonna die and we're not gonna die because we're Jedi and we're just not gonna help them. And he basically is like, you have to let people die in war. And like that scene is so crazy to me.
Well,
because
it's crazy because go ahead and finish your thought.
That was kind of where I was at.
I mean, so it's interesting in that scene specifically because he wasn't like that. Like we talked about at the beginning of this book, like he didn't want other people to die. But then he gets to the point where it's in the Ahsoka series where he's trying to teach Ahsoka the things that he had to learn,
Obi-Wan too.
Well,
because Obi-Wan said that in the ship of like.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying is that he had to learn this the absolute hard way, doing all these bad things that he just straight up tells Ahsoka, you have to let this stuff go or it's going to eat you alive.
He is finally understanding the prolificness of the Jedi Code, and not necessarily that it's just words on a piece of paper that you can't take it at face value of what it means. Don't care about anybody. That's not what it means. It just says that when it's time for people to move on, you can't not let them move on.
Like literally Ahsoka series, Anakin is like understanding of everything. He's 100% his entire self, including Darth Vader. And it's going to be very interesting to watch. And they're obviously not done with the story yet, so it's going to be very interesting how they move forward with it. So let's move back to the movie.
We haven't gotten anywhere in this
We have not made it very far to the movie.
14 minutes in. No.
So basically, the next scene is when he has the nightmare of Padme dying in childbirth. So for you watching the movies for the first time and you see it in the second movie, him having nightmares of his mom, and then his mom actually dies. What was your thought process when he sees this for the first time?
Before we get into serious things.
I was sad to see Padme die.
Before we get into serious things, he looks great when he jumps out of bed.
He said the same fucking thing. I mean,
that's all I had to say.
Well, what I said to him yesterday was, I was like, what's funny is I feel like Hayden Christensen didn't lift a single weight for this movie, but he looks fantastic. I'm like, if he would go into the gym and lift like when he was younger, I feel like he would have a great physique.
I feel like seeing pictures of Anakin before Revenge of the Sith and then right after Revenge of the Sith and now, I don't know how he looked like what he did in Revenge of the Sith.
It is very.
He looked like that for 4 months of filming and never looked like that again.
But the thing about how he looked in Revenge of the Sith, it wasn't anything like bodybuilding wise spectacular.
Yeah, but he had a nice like tone to him. He was like nice and tan.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
His hair was like perfect. In the second one, his hair is shit. He's like super like.
Well, he's got the Padawan hair in the second movie.
Yeah, but it looks like shit, and he's like super like pasty looking.
Well, he's also grown up because of war. You know, like people.
I mean, yeah, but like
that
half the war he does is in space. It's not like he's getting a tan in space. Like,
well, you're probably not eating, so he probably was in a calorie deficit, and so he just looked ripped.
Well, so basically, what I was saying is that I just feel like how he looked in that movie, like it wasn't anything bodybuilding wise spectacular, but I'm like, if he even tried, I feel like he has a great like shape to his body that I was like, if he even just lifted weights like after the movie, I feel like he would look really good.
What the fuck
so we're
are
just
we
talking? We're just
about?
talking about Hayden Christensen,
Yeah.
the actor. Okay, not like if Anakin was like,
no.
I'm gonna start fucking lifting weights.
No.
Do they have gyms?
Probably. They have bars. They ought to have gyms.
Space gyms.
Working out isn't for everybody. Drinking is. No.
Not for me.
Drinking's universal.
Okay, so we're
Okay, we need to talk about the movie now.
talking about Padme dying.
Yeah,
I
the
mean-
vision of Padme dying. What did you think? Like,
Did
so,
you
like,
did you actually expect it to happen?
Sort of. I think it obviously makes the story move forward because now he's trying to find a way to save her any way he can. Because like he wakes up, he's like, I'm not gonna let you die like I let my mother die. So then that also brings back the point of like he's tired of losing people that he really cares about.
so in the second movie, you see him have the force ability of force vision. You then see it, and you see it come true. In the moment of watching it, did you understand that he has force vision and that she was like, you knew for sure she's gonna die?
Yeah.
You knew that in the moment that she
Yeah.
was gonna die. Okay, because I feel like that's something that people like. Obviously, we didn't watch it in theaters firsthand, but I would love to ask someone who did eventually. Like, when you saw that, where you're like, okay, she's gonna die. Because, like, in a way, like they knew that like this was going to this,
Right.
but like, it's
I mean-
one of those things that you're like, are they really gonna kill this character this way?
I mean, I know we're huge Star Wars fans. I mean, we obviously know, obviously, but like, I feel like with just watching it the first time, I feel like you should know, like, obviously you want.
How is that a statement? Like, you can't say that.
Well, it happens in the second movie, so I don't know why you would watch it in the third movie and then all of a sudden think it's like not going to happen. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, you want to believe in the ability of Anakin to not let it happen.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like, there's no way you should.
I mean,
think
what
anything
other
else.
franchise can
I
you think of when the main character just snaps all of a sudden and he becomes not necessarily like the main good guy who you're rooting for goes the complete other end. Like, there's people who like bad guys, but they were bad the entire time.
Yeah.
I just think like maybe if for the sake of argument, like with his mom dying, he wasn't on anywhere near her. Like he's right next to Padme for the most part, obviously like missing for the war, but like his mom was like captured and totally different planet. Anakin's busy, but he's like, I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen. And so if you're watching that for the first time and you don't know that he becomes Darth Vader, you're thinking, okay, he's the chosen one. He should be able to. I mean, that did cross my mind, but like I basically thought that she would still die. But like you thought, okay, maybe he could fucking pull something off, not necessarily having to go to the dark side to get that power to do that because he's the chosen one.
All right. I think we should fast forward just a little bit and head to the performance with the Darth Plagueis scene. Let's head that far.
What are we skipping?
Just some conversation between.
We skipped the conversation between Yoda, Mace, and Obi-Wan, where they talk about how Anakin kills Dooku. And Mace Windu...
Obi-Wan has his back, right? Because he's like,
Well, they don't
he's,
really-
he's the chosen
But
one.
when they have the conversations in the second movie, when they talk about him going on the mission to protect.
No, they
That's
talk
the
about
third
it.
movie.
This is
No. I'm thinking about.
they
it
have this
completely different scene.
conversation after they like land the ship. This is when he sends Anakin to do the shit, and then he goes the other way. At some point, they have a conversation.
Mace Windu's like, I don't trust
I don't think.
him.
I don't think so, because Mace Windu talks.
Yes, because Obi-Wan has the
Yeah.
better hair and beard.
I do remember that.
They're on one of
yeah,
the
they're
side
like,
open
okay,
ships.
something.
I was thinking in the second movie when they're like walking through the temple. And,
No, they're on a
I-
ship
I
when they're
gotcha.
talking about this.
I got you. I'm on the same page. So how'd you feel about when Obi-Wan was like, he's not gonna let me down. He never has. Like, did that just like to me when I watched that scene?
Oh, isn't that the same scene where they kind of start talking about how they need to spy on Palpatine? It's tangential.
I guess
Like,
it's
it's
after
a continuation of the well, that's before they have the actual council meeting, right? Or is it no, that's after, because they're talking about how Anakin responded to it. So we have to talk about the council meeting, then we have to talk about
that when they make him
so this is when
master, but with
All right, let's just
No.
Okay.
Let's just start from there because we're getting
Okay, they tell basically Obi-Wan has the one-on-one conversation with Anakin that
Because
the
he-
council decided
because
Oh, wait,
they
no.
had a meeting with all the Jedi and Anakin was late to it, and then that's when he gives them the assignment because it was after the
What?
fact when
he gives Obi-Wan the assignment to go.
the scene where
Because Yoda says it from the other
this
side.
is when
Anakin's-
Anakin walks in
Yes.
and they had a conversation about him being a spy, basically,
Right,
and they
'cause he-
finally tell Anakin he's going to be on the council. And then afterwards, okay, talk about that. How did you feel about them granting him council membership, but not becoming a master?
I think that was like sort of the final straw.
Did you understand in the moment, which you guys probably already talked about it, but we're going to go over it again like you didn't. Did you did you understand Mace Windu and Yoda's reasoning to not allow him to be a master?
Well, they were skeptical of him, right? Is that what you mean? Like,
Yes, they were.
it wasn't because of him.
It is.
It's not because of him specifically.
It's not because of him. It's about the.
Palpatine?
It's about Palpatine.
Yeah, because I mean, they think they discussed that if is this the one where they discussed if General Grievous is killed, then Palpatine has to step down or whatever? Is that later?
I think it's in the novelization where they talk about this. I think I brought it up. I definitely brought it up to you, but they know that. I think it's just.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just Mace Windu.
I didn't want to get to that point yet because I thought he was still asking like a general question, and then we could talk about that. So he's basically saying like they know
that there's something bad going. Like there is this like
they know that they don't specifically say it, but they know that Palpatine is trying to get information out of Anakin because Anakin straight up has told them that he's trying to get information out of him, and that they obviously know how close they are. So basically, they are choosing to believe in Anakin that he can report back what if the Chancellor slips up to him.
I know. So he did tell me this because you said if he becomes a master, he's able to like gain more information.
They were afraid that Anakin could.
Well, so no, I think it was in the novelization when it happened. I'm not 100% sure, but they intercepted a message that led to like Palpatine and his.
I wasn't getting to that yet.
Okay, you can go.
Even though they know that in the at least canon version, they know that if they allow Anakin to have basically access to the Master's everything, holocron's library, all that stuff, that there is a possibility that something could happen to Anakin, and that Palpatine or someone who is working with Palpatine could then have access to the temple.
Because they're so close, basically, right?
Worst comes to worst, you're not even going to allow him to, if it's, like, obviously, there's multiple different ways. There's key code punches, there could be cards, there could be anything that lets you in. It's not like Anakin has to be there exactly, because when you go into the archives, like, there isn't, like, Anakin changed this. Like,
I mean, we watched Count Dooku go into the archives. And
I was going to get into that as well.
Okay,
so now we're going to jump to book, story, show, all that kind of shit. So you can tell that one. I'll tell the Dooku one. So basically, we see this. Well, because I know he wants to tell the one with Palpatine. Basically, you see this in Tales of the Jedi, where we see when Dooku goes in and he, back to the second movie, where he erases Kamino and he changes a bunch of these records to where the Jedi and specifically Jocasta knew. If anybody comes to her about this information,
that's the librarian. Just to let you know.
This is the one.
Figured,
She's the one that shows
she's
Obi-Wan around.
Yeah, because she was like, "There's no information about the planet."
Yes, basically to where she, being the person that should know where to find the information, could not have the information. So, okay, your turn.
I mean, back to what he was saying though. That just shows how easy it was to get to the archives. Like it was, he just punched in a 3-digit number to get into the archives. Like, it was kind of ridiculous how easy it was for him to do what he did. Granted, he is a Jedi Master at that time, but yeah. Anyways, so in the novelization, they intercepted a message that was sent to like Palpatine's like quarters or whatever, like him and his like close people that work alongside.
By the way, they're spying on him.
Right. Oh,
throwing that out.
Oh yeah, they were spying on him before Anakin was spying on him. But they intercepted a message, and they basically found out that Sidious was working within somebody, or is somebody.
Palpatine has been in the same room as Sidious, and they know that, and they don't know if Palpatine. They really don't want to believe that Palpatine is the person, but they think that someone is in his back pocket doing stuff. And they've talked about how I cannot remember his name, and it's upsetting me, but it's the guy, the blue dude with the things.
Yeah,
he's the Chancellor's right hand man. Like both of them that are on both sides of him in the Senate meeting. They think that maybe one of them is the guy who's getting stuff back to Sidious, and why they feel like they're always a step behind him. Right. But the problem is it's that fucking guy.
They knew that Sidious is somewhere right there,
right?
And they're not 100% sure, which is why they end up giving Anakin this mission. One, it helps them get information if anybody slips up on anything, and they don't grant him the rank of master, so Anakin doesn't accidentally give access to anybody anything, or the Sith Lord manipulates Anakin into giving them access, because they don't know what the Sith Lords are capable of at this point.
Well, that's also interesting because and going back to the movie, but like he basically goes and tells Palpatine like, I'm fucking spying on you. Like he kind of gives that up.
Yeah. Before we get to that though, like another thing that could happen too is the fact that like because it's not like only Jedi can be in the Jedi Temple. Like senators and people come in there, like not often but occasionally, where if there was a Sith Lord, they realized that Sith Lord could be playing Palpatine, and let's say he is controlling his mind, which they don't know exactly, and Anakin walks Palpatine into the Jedi archives, into the Master's chambers and stuff like that, and now this Sith Lord has access to all of their shit.
Right.
What they don't realize is that if he did walk Palpatine, the Sith Lord would be seeing it with his own fucking eyes. But that's part of the reason too. Now back to what you were saying.
That's all I had to say. It was just...
I know, but we were going to talk about it, and I actually forgot the wording that you used.
He basically... So he gets the mission to spy on Palpatine, but then immediately, basically, goes and tells him, like, the Council doesn't trust you, and they're having me spy on you. So, like... So, like, I think he was just upset that they didn't make him master, and he didn't think of, like, what we just talked about. He was just in his head of, like, they're not fucking making me master.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then also, I mean, Sidious basically, he almost made Anakin say it, you know what I mean? Because that was when they were sitting watching the performance right before he tells them about Darth Plagueis, and he basically makes Anakin say it. I don't know if I think he was...
They've told you to spy on me, boy, haven't you?
I don't know, it was very interesting, because, like, he knew, I mean... Sidious knows. Sidious is on top of everything.
It's also because he is in Anakin's head. He knows what he thinks, feels, and like what he knows everything that he's doing.
Yeah, because he brings up like Padme dying when he's...
Yeah, and that's what's crazy is he's already had that conversation with him. Mm-hmm. Did you have that dream again, my boy?
When he totally walked into the lightsaber at the end of the movie. When they're in that final like... It's jumping ahead, but it's right when he finds out that Palpatine is...
When Palpatine tells him he's the Sith Lord, basically, and he ignites his lightsaber, and they're, like, walking around each other in a circle, it looked like Palpatine walked right into, like, the lightsaber.
And Anakin, like, lowers it in the next scene, because it's like, you probably just walked through this in CGI, but you don't even realize it.
It was kind of funny. Anyway, so how'd you feel about hearing about Darth Plagueis?
All right, we jumped. Okay.
No, we didn't. We're still at the same point. We jumped back to where we were.
No, because he goes to tell him... Oh, wait.
No, we're at the Plagueis.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we are. Oh, we skipped over a cameo.
Oh, George Lucas?
Yeah, we talked about that last episode.
Yeah. Cameo of George Lucas.
It's so crazy that he cameoed in that, and then they cameoed him again in the Clone Wars, because that character's in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he has a whole arc where that character is like
him and his daughters.
Person,
yeah.
But yeah, So yeah, how'd you feel about hearing about Darth Plagueis?
It's honestly, I don't remember much. Mostly because
Have you heard
the names all like they just like combobble in my head of just like
that was a word.
Word
of the day. Combobble.
But it's like the Plagueis, Sidious, Palpatine. Like it's all just like
Sidious.
Revan.
So basically,
Malgus, Malik.
I'm glad they just named him Darth Vader. You know, it's like, okay, that's the one separate. I know that. It's not
You know
like
that Darth Vader means Dark Father?
in German.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, dark just means dark, but Vader means father in German.
Well, his name's not Dark. His name's
Darth.
Darth.
Sorry.
Dark means dark. Okay, I would hope so.
It's like no in Spanish means no.
Anyways, he talks about Darth Plagueis, and we're getting back
There's
on
no-
top.
no-
Dude, this video has already been long as hell.
Yeah, we've been here for 6 hours.
We're literally a fourth of the way through the movie.
No, we're a third.
At best. But he basically tells him that Darth Plagueis could influence the midichlorians to create life, to keep life going, to prolong life. He basically tells
He
Anakin.
could even keep people from dying.
So Plagueis, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was Sidious's master, or no?
Is that what you took from the movie?
I'm just asking. I can't remember.
Where did you come up with that question from?
Because he's talking about how Plagueis died, even though he could control.
And his apprentice killed him in his sleep.
Right. So that would be Sidious then, right? Because then he takes all of his powers, or like, isn't the thing with the Sith Lord is that they think that you can control.
He's
You,
trying
like,
to confuzzle so much shit that I've told him.
No,
from Legends
I mean,
and shit.
I'm enjoying this. So,
So like you could combine all of the power and like get it yourself, basically.
Basically, he's talking about what I've told him about Darth Bane believing in the aspect where if there's only one person harnessing the power of the dark side, they're more powerful.
yeah, but
because
like
of it.
the way he just kind of described it makes me think that he thinks it's more like, all right, you have this master. When you kill him, you just like get his knowledge. That's not
what happens.
It's not like he just like can
Yeah.
do something and take the knowledge from him. The point is that you try to learn everything that your master knows, then you kill him, and then use what he knows to, for the rest of your life, try to figure out more things. Okay. And that's
If
why,
anything,
that's like probably comparatively what Bane knew in his time versus what Palpatine knows. Palpatine would shit on Bane in a fight because he would just know way more shit than him because he knows a millennium of generations of Sith things. Because like
That Bane didn't have, obviously.
yeah, that
Right.
like
Bane didn't even know what a metachlorian was. I don't think. I don't even know
he
if they
didn't when he was not Bane.
Right.
He didn't. I mean, he was also a late comer into the Sith Academy, so on Korriban.
If you ever read the book, you'll definitely notice like it's very different. Like it's not the same at all.
They love D names. Like his name is Dez.
Yeah.
And then there's Dex. Darth.
They love D, S, and P names. Plagueis, Palpatine, Sidious, Sifo-Dyas.
They love M names. Malik. Malgus.
Off topic. Just kidding.
What's the next important scene after Darth Plagueis?
Those T names, too. Shreya. Tyrannus.
Oh, I think after the Darth Plagueis scene is when he has another Force vision about
Obi-Wan being there.
Obi-Wan being at the death of the birth.
The death of the birth.
Death at the birth.
I think that's the next scene. Again, just to reiterate, like you've seen it for the second time in this movie that she's dying in his vision. Like,
I think the next scene is when Obi-Wan is gonna go leave and go to
Is that
Utapau.
where he tells Obi-Wan that he like his
oh yeah, we completely skipped over Utapau shit because fucking when he goes to the performance, he says he's engaged General Grievous. We completely
That's just what I
just
said.
brushed
I'm like,
over that.
we jumped over Utapau.
Yeah.
Such a fun fucking name for a planet. I love saying
Do you
it.
guys want to make this into a second episode?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. We cannot go through Order 66 in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. This is going to be 2 episodes.
Eli, how long has it been? Jesus Christ. So, how'd you feel with the second time around with him having a Force vision about Padme dying? Like, are you thinking this is set in stone, or are you thinking like...
Yeah, I think it, like...
Because earlier you said you kind of had maybe a little bit of hope that the Chosen One
Right.
would be able to do it.
It sort of, like, concretes it, I think, of, like...
It's like
if he has the ability to foresee something like that, I don't think it would lie to him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that wouldn't be an ability then,
It's
because it's fucking lying to you.
It's, well...
Well, the whole point in... If you guys have seen the book episode that we just did, you kind of understand that, like, part of the reason they talk about, like, Jedis manipulating Force vision and it leading to the dark side is that when Qui-Gon got his Force visions, you don't realize, because they're obviously, like, it's a story that, like, whatever decision you make to try to alter it is the reason that it happens. Qui-Gon choosing to try to get the dream not to happen by stepping back is the reason that his vision happens. And then the same thing with Anakin, where...
Him trying to save her, doing anything he has is why she dies. Because, well, yeah, that's true with how the movie, like...
He's the reason she dies.
Right.
Even though he's the reason he's trying to...
Stop it.
Like,
there's nothing he can do to stop it, that everything that he tries to do to stop it is the reasons why she dies.
And that's the thing, it leaves you to wonder that if he didn't try to stop it, if it would have happened. But that's the whole point of the dream, is that he can't change that it's going to happen, but he thinks he can. And that's what causes it to happen.
Yeah.
So that's seen as a power? like an ability?
It's an ability, yeah. The Force gives you a vision of the future.
But you can't do anything to change it then.
It's not necessarily an advantage.
That would suck, dude. I'd just fucking kill myself.
Well, that's something with, like, Qui-Gon, where he, like, saw what was gonna happen before it happened, but you don't realize it's happening until it happens.
You don't
that
really...
was very dumb. But...
Well, it's like, so in the book with Qui-Gon knows when it's going to happen because it's during the ceremony that they have and stuff like that. But in Revenge of the Sith with Padme dying, we actually don't really know when that's going to happen. So there's so many question marks that come with the visions that it's like we don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen. But usually in the cases we've seen, it happens because of what the person does. And
also, the Force visions always have, like... what do I want to say? Like, a timeline stoppage and making, like, the timeline is going, and that scene is what stops the timeline and makes it have a 90-degree angle. So with the Qui-Gon thing, like, his story was going here, and that what happens in that scene when Fanry kills the Skykeeper and does that things. Now the timeline of what he thought was going to happen stops, and it goes like this.
Right.
Where that same thing happens where the story is going, and then the story needs to change. So that has to happen for Luke and Leia to be born.
Right.
Luke and Leia to be born, Anakin to be completely concrete as Vader.
For Padme to die.
Right. It established the entire rest of the story.
And that's the same thing when we look at these other... like visions, like, which I don't know if you watched that episode or know what I'm talking about, but like the Kyber that isn't Kyber, that comes to fruition because then if it gets to the point where Obi-Wan does when he slashes down at Darren, that changes the course of what happens and what should have happened.
Obi-Wan basically took his Kyber crystal out of his lightsaber.
Well, he didn't do it. They did.
Well, yeah, and they put a colon crystal in his lightsaber, which is the Kyber that isn't Kyber. It almost acts as if it's Kyber, but it's not Kyber. It's not as strong as Kyber. And yeah, he uses that, and it was a prophecy, actually. But the prophecy came true because of everything else that happened around it. And it completely changes the rest of the story because of it.
Okay. There's also a prophecy that we mentioned but don't mention, like, I don't think we talked about enough, is that, like, there's a prophecy that states that there will be a time of the prophecies. So basically, like, and Qui-Gon understands this, that when the first prophecy is realized, all the other prophecies are going to start happening.
Right.
So, like,
it's like the revelation of...
So, like prophecies over a generation of Jedi seeing them, there's a certain point in time that the prophecies are going to start, and all of them are going to start to go. Meaning that, like, the Kyber that isn't Kyber happens, and then you see where the Sith will rise again,
right?
And then you will see the chosen one happen, and then you'll just keep going until there's a prophecy that ends the time of prophecies.
Okay.
Which, at least from what we know, is the chosen one prophecy, because it completely shifts the future of the entire galaxy.
Right.
I don't know if any of that made sense to anybody.
I got it.
It's complex. Yeah. It really is.
But basically, like,
that's what makes it kind of cool.
Of what is explained in the Acolyte, where there's what is the thing that they talk about in the Force? Not a dyad, but
the Virgins.
The Virgins in the Force. Like, each prophecy has a Virgins in a way, where you're trying to not let this event happen, but when that event, like, it shows you the Virgins, he gets to see that the thing that will change the galaxy forever is Padme giving birth and dying.
Okay, I got it. If you didn't get it, you're stupid. So I'm just kidding.
All right. With that being said, we're actually going to end this video here. Clearly, this is a long one. I mean, it's a hell of a movie to dive into. There's always something to talk about outside of the movie as well.
If you didn't think that we were going to talk about you thought we were going to talk about the movie the whole time, you were mistaken.
Well, that and then also, like, this movie was supposed to be 4 hours for a reason. Like,
yeah, and we've done an hour into.
Of it. Yeah, I'm like, there's so much to dive into.
There's going to be 4 parts to this.
But so with that being said, we're going to end it today. See you guys next time.